Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to COEX Talk. Today we have a very special guest. Her name is Karessa Fonseca, and we are doing yoga and breath. Well, yoga and breath work. So we're going to do an interactive talk. So feel free to ask questions during her talk. And welcome and thank you for joining us, Karessa.
Thank you, Claudia. Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure to be here. And yeah, so today I wanted to come on and share a little bit about yoga and a little bit about breath work. And in particular, in these times, right, most of us, well, we're all affected by COVID, but perhaps some of us in different stages of quarantine. And I'm starting to hear like quarantine fatigue kind of thing where perhaps we're, so the thing of it is a lot of this comes from this like unsettledness of being with myself. We're used to having a lot of distractions. So how does a yoga practice or a breathwork practice help me in these situations? And can it help me if I've never done it before and now I've been in quarantine for like 3 months? Yes, absolutely, it can help you. And one of the things that I love about yoga is when you look at it from its philosophical standpoint, yoga will meet you exactly where you are. So some people are like, I'm not flexible enough. Show up. Like, I have a lot of anger issues. Definitely show up. So it'll meet you exactly where you are. Sometimes we're the ones that have a little bit of difficulty meeting ourselves where we are, right? It's like, well, if I can't touch my toes, or if I can't do this, or you're in any shape and you're looking at your neighbor and you're feeling like they're doing it better. So yoga meets you where you are, and it gives you an opportunity to work compassionately with yourself, which is another thing that I like. And we'll be like, okay, what yoga do I do? So let's start there, right? I'm going like, what are the main questions? What yoga do I do? All right. Here's a little secret that a lot of yoga instructors don't say, or honestly, a lot of times aren't even aware of. My training comes with a background from mood modification. So, mental, emotional, behavioral kind of addiction things is a realm that I like to work in and I have training on. And so if you think about yourself, all right, in a general, am I a go, 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 get it done, keep my plate full kind of person? If so, your type of yoga is probably the kind that you're not going to like. It's going to go this way. It's going to be slow. Yeah.
That's me.
Slow and gentle. And it's probably going to drive you a little crazy in the beginning until you get used to it. And then if you flip it, what if I'm a person that experiences depression, or maybe I have chronic fatigue, or I have an autoimmune disease and my energy gets used up, very quickly. Then for that, you're going to go the other way. We're going to start slow and gentle, but we're going to build up to a strong practice. Why? To help shift your mood, to help shift the energies. A lot of times then when we don't know this, what does it mean? If I'm used to a go, go, go lifestyle, I'm going to go to a go, go, go practice. US, we practice a lot of vinyasa yoga. Why is that? Because it's a constant, steady movement. I don't have to sit with myself too much. I don't have to sit there and feel too much because I'm constantly moving to the next thing. I inhale, I'm doing a movement. I exhale, I'm doing a movement. So that's the energy we're used to being in. But when we're talking about balance, right? If I want to be here and centered, it's the same thing. We're looking at a yoga lifestyle as a medicine. For example, if someone's going to take a pill, I'm not a big, proponent of pills, but let's say somebody's going to take a pill. Let's say herbal pill, not a pharmaceutical. This somebody's going to take a pill. If they're a hyperactive person, what's the doctor going to prescribe? It's going to prescribe something that goes in the opposite direction for the energy, brings you more into balance. It's the same thing when we look at our yogic practice or a yogic lifestyle in that manner, bringing me into balance. So that's one thing that I always like to mention to people, because a lot of people don't know that. Another thing, give different things a try, different instructors a try. Perhaps if you like to listen to podcasts, there's some people you listen to the topic and it sounds great, but their voice is just like, oh, no way, Jose, not in a million years. Yeah. Maybe the transcript. It's true. And I love it because this is like honest life, dude. Yeah. Like humans, these are the experiences we have. And sometimes we don't talk about them. So then we're over here thinking I'm the only one experiencing this. Nope, you're sure not. When you're sitting there concerned about like, your underwear showing when you're in downward dog, like the about the same thing. So we keep it lighthearted. One of my instructors says we take our practice seriously. We don't take ourselves seriously. Yeah. So there's always that. What else? I would encourage you to do like one technique that could potentially like super duper duper change your life in an amazing way. Give breathwork a whirl. So we're gonna do a little bit here in a minute. Tell you real quick why. We're gonna get science, because if you want to go woo woo, we'll go woo woo. If you want to go science, we'll go science. And the thing of it is a lot of people right now are still needing science. That's fantastic. I got it for you. Some people want woo woo. We can have that conversation. Let's talk science right now. So my nervous system, I have my autonomic nervous system, things that happen automatically. My heart's beating, my liver's doing, the kidneys, autopilot, right? There is one out of all these things. Think of like all the things that happen on automatic, right? Out of all those things, there's only one that you can take charge of consciously if you choose to, and that's your breath. So most of the time, we're not thinking about it. We're just breathing. Mm-hmm. If you choose to, you can take charge, holding, right? So here's why this is so amazing. Your nervous system is directly linked to also your endocrine system. And so I'm gonna back that up. Your respiratory system directly linked to your nervous system, directly linked to your endocrine system. So if you look up videos on YouTube on this, they have a great explanation, but this is the nitty-gritty fast one. If I get into a stressed out state, right? My breathing changes and everything, that's affecting my nervous system. It continues for a little bit, it ends up affecting my endocrine system. My endocrine system is my hormones. A lot of times we think hormones, women. No, everybody's got hormones. Your thyroid, has hormones that all your glands secrete hormones, your pituitary gland, your pineal gland, all these glands secreting your adrenal glands, super important for stress management, right? So if people go into adrenal fatigue, they can no longer manage life. I've been there. So this is why this is so important. If my nervous system is so directly connected to my endocrine system, when my endocrine system sends off hormones, they last for hours to days. They're doing things inside of you. If you send off these hormones because saber-toothed tiger's after you, boom, yes, give me that adrenaline, like let me Superman up, I'm out of here. But if I'm worried about the bills, if a coworker was sort of off that day and took it out on me, the exact same stress cascade is happening. And now, because I don't need all of these hormones running around in me because I'm stressed about bills or a coworker, it's having detrimental effects on my being.
So right now it's everybody at home. Sorry to interrupt. It's everybody at home because you watch the news and you're like, my husband knows the news is off limits when I'm by him. I'm like, you do not turn on the news because it's just like automatic and you don't even know it. It's like, it sneaks up on you. So yes, very important.
Absolutely, yes. And thank you so much for saying that, because I'm going to segue real quick, like sidestep to something else. What are we right now exposing ourselves to energetically? Because everybody's day-to-day is different now. So our stressors are different. If we were used to being away from our kids for 8 hours a day, now us and the kids are at the same, right? Even the dogs, like even our dogs are probably ready for COVID to be over because they're not used to having our stressed out selves here all the time. They're like, it was real peaceful when they were at work.
I feel like my dogs are annoyed by me.
Say that again?
I feel like my dogs are already annoyed by me.
They're gonna start little support groups for themselves.
Mine are like
how to handle
one
home all the time.
It looks at me like
Absolutely. So when we talk about awareness and mindfulness, which are right there, right? It's part of this yogic lifestyle. Why is it so important? Why is it so awesome? Because it helps us take care of ourselves in a way like Claudia just mentioned. If I'm not aware, conscious, mindful, that background noise is starting to like creep on me and like make me tense, then I'm going to allow it to bombard me all the time, and it's going to start having detrimental effects. It does shoot off that stress cascade. It does cause those hormones to come out. So as people, unfortunately, we've heard in the news, right, as this quarantine has extended, the instances of domestic violence have gone up exponentially. And so, you know, what does this highlight? It highlights the true condition that we're all in. Because we can no longer distract ourselves or have certain outlets for things. And now I'm left with myself and those closest to me. And if I haven't taken the time prior to this pandemic to work compassionately with my mind, you know, with my emotions, you know, if I haven't been addressing my diet, if the environment, right, what's coming in through my senses isn't for my best and my highest and isn't helping me to stay in alignment or balanced, then it's all manifesting right now. It's all these little red flags that we're seeing all over the place. And so what we're allowing to come in, you know, there's people that go into conspiracy theories. And, you know, for me, it's like if you can go down that rabbit hole and it doesn't frazzle you or stress you out, like, cool, like rock out your rabbit hole. Me being in the presence of conspiracy theory talk rattles me from the inside really hard. And as a historic type A, like I would never think I'd sit here like on Zoom and then like Facebook and everywhere to say, yeah, I can't handle that. But that's the reality of it. You know, the reality of it is in these moments, hearing those things move something inside of me that isn't comfortable and that then sticks with me. Somebody could perceive it as a weakness. If you want a label on it, cool. But I just perceive it as my reality. So, and sometimes that's one of the more difficult things for us in our day-to-day is to just accept what is my reality. And that resistance creates a lot of unnecessary constriction, you know, because then we do things that try to like hide or shift or manipulate or whatever. But going back to the breath, so we're going to the cascade, right? If you go backwards, I don't want all of these hormones that are going to last hours or days and cause detrimental things to my heart, to my everything. So let's go step back. What's the link? The nervous system. Hey, do I have a magic key to work with this nervous system? Yes, I do. And that's where your respiratory system comes in. So it's the one part of your autonomic nervous system that you can take charge of that's directly linked to your nervous system. So a couple of I always like to have like something to take away. Like if I did 15 minutes of a talk that I'm watching somewhere, if I did 3 hours, it's like, did I take at least one thing that was useful for me? So I'm gonna try to do that for you right now. Hopefully you get more than one thing, but here we go. So a few things. First and foremost, breathing through the nose. Breathing the mouth, think of it as an emergency hatch only. Only in emergency statuses do you breathe through your mouth. So for example, let's think examples. Runners, they do not breathe through their mouth. You know what I mean? So what happens? If I breathe through my nose, parasympathetic, rest and digest. This sends overriding signals to you, your being, that you're okay, that there's no stress, you're chill. You breathe through the mouth, and there's a science. If you don't believe me, research it. I love people that use discernment. Google it up. You breathe through your mouth automatically, dude. Whether you're stressed or not, automatically your sympathetic nervous system engages. Sympathetic nervous system is the same as fight or flight. And this is not where you want to be, right? We talk about PTSD, if we talk about just chronic stresses, like all these things, that's fight or flight. And there's a reason why we have that system, right? It's to help keep us alive. But again, fight or flight only knows one stress response, whether that's a saber-toothed tiger or whether that's the bills that are coming up that I don't have the money for. So everybody I feel right now has stressors on them. So sometimes we're mouth breathers because of allergies. It doesn't matter. That means you have a little bit more of a challenge because now you tend to be stuffed up and you also have the pattern, the ingrained behavior, because I used to be a mouth breather because of allergies. You now have to retrain yourself, but it's doable. So breathing through the nose. If nothing else, man, you're like all of a sudden stressed out. What do we feel? Right? Chest goes up here, the mouth begins to open. What if in the moment you could be aware of it? Just aware enough to be like, oh, snap, I'm sort of stressed. How am I breathing? So one, through the nose. That in and of itself, if you can do that much, will do a shift. But I like to stack my tools, which means more than one tool at a time. So that's one. Second one, and I'll go into it briefly because you can always YouTube this. Diaphragmatic breathing is the way you're intended to breathe. So check it out. I know some people here have pets. So if you ever look at your pets, they always have a very abdominal component to their breath because they breathe the way they're supposed to breathe. They're not carrying the stress we are. If you look at a human baby, it's always breathing with a very abdominal component. And then here's how we flip the script. If you look at an adult human, we're usually up here, short and shallow. This is also due to stress. Subconscious, the stress that we're carrying most of the day that we're awake.
It's so true.
And he's like, can I be aware enough to catch that in myself?
Yeah.
And if you live with someone or you have slumber parties with friends, you can catch an adult human when they're asleep. And guess what? When that mind is shut off, that beautiful, beautiful mind is shut off, you have an abdominal component to your breathing too.
Mhm.
That's the way that we're naturally supposed to breathe, our diaphragmatic breath. If I did like a super quick synopsis of how you do it, every inhale through the nose, every inhale starts low in your belly, then rises up to the area of your ribs, and then all the way up to your chest. The exhale is a reverse. Exhale in the chest, then the ribs, and then the belly. So let's do it like a few times just to see what's up.
I'm actually doing it as you talk.
Yeah, yes, let's do it. All right. So we're just gonna sit up, just at least a sort of, I mean, you don't have to be bored straight, all right? And what I like to say is just a gentle lift in the heart, and you'll notice like, ooh, that feels nice. You can close your eyes if you would like. Let's exhale all the air out through the nose. I'm gonna take a slow, deep inhale into the belly, the ribs, chest. Gentle hold, and then reverse exhale, chest, ribs, belly. So you inhale, the belly expands. You feel that rise all the way up. The clavicle gently rises. Exhale, feel that wave reverse. Your belly button comes in. So breathe in that a few more times. Now, I'm not going to cue it anymore because this is an opportunity for self-regulation. And we're keeping the breath to the nose. So just notice if you started breathing through your mouth. Sometimes the mind is very active, and if someone's not cueing, it'll speed up the breath for you. So giving yourself a few moments to be able to keep that nice and slow. Feel into the physical body. On the exhale, allow those shoulders to really slide down the back body. Now, I'm going to take a slow, deep inhale together. Gentle hold at the top, relax the face, relax the shoulders. A vocal breath through the mouth. You'll hear me. Ah, let it go. We're going to do one more vocal breath because it feels so good. Deep diaphragmatic inhale from the bottom up. Gentle hold, soft on the face, relax through the jaw, and let it go. Ah, feel yourself melt, and then keep the eyes closed just for a few seconds. Just feel what you feel. Perhaps a little more space, perhaps a little more quiet. And as you're ready, we're going to gently open into the eyes. All right. Anybody able to feel anything a little different for themselves? Yeah.
Feel a lot more
That's
relaxed.
great. That's what I did.
Like I pressed reset in my brain.
Yes, so that breath is your natural breath. And so I always like to have people, even if it's just for a short time, experience it, because that's just our natural breath. There's so many breathing techniques we can do. We'll go into another one. We've got a little bit of time. But why? Because it resets. This is like, right, like computer programmers that know how to make a different something, which I don't understand. That's what you're doing, and your body has that natural ability to do it. Just nobody taught us this. You know, we sit in classrooms and we learn a lot of things, but unfortunately, a lot of times it's not really for ourselves. You know, it's to be a productive member of society, which is also good. But we're at an age now where we're understanding, if I'm going to be present for for my family, my loved ones, if I'm going to be present for the earth, right, which is part of the mission for COEX, like I need to be so vibrant. I need to be so vital. And so a yogic lifestyle, in my opinion, is one of the ways I can do that. Because, like, for example, what have we covered already? You know, talked about meeting yourself where you are, working compassionately with yourself. You know, we've talked about accepting where you are. Like, dude, I can't handle like conspiracy theory talk right now. Cool. Like, it doesn't make me a worse person. Doesn't make me like less spiritually evolved or not enough personal development. It's just like, what's up? And so then with the breath is this magical gateway to manage our nervous system. And so there's techniques that we can use to rise our energy up. There's techniques that we can use, which is the one that we're going to do in a minute, to help settle the energies. So it is like a calming, right? It brings, what I like to say is like a calm, alert mind. The one that next is actually one of the strongest parasympathetic, so the rest and digest. It's one of the strongest activators of that system. And while we're on that topic, I'm going to tell you this real quick. Why is the parasympathetic nervous system referred to as rest and digest? All right. I think we'd all agree in the last few years, like last decade, so much more incidence of GI issues, inflammatory bowel disease, protein losing enteropathies, right? Guess what? It's totally related to that whole parasympathetic, sympathetic nervous system thing. That's why it's called rest and digest. In order for you to be able to properly absorb all the nutrients that you're putting into your being, you have to be in an activated parasympathetic nervous system. That's why it's called rest and digest. You can Google it. They have really awesome charts when you look at that, like the stress cascade and how it affects the endocrine system. They'll have little pictures of a human and then all the different glands and these different things and different organs. And then this one will be labeled parasympathetic and this one will be labeled sympathetic. And then it tells you what changes based on which state you're in. So parasympathetic, like normal or low heart rate. Sympathetic, fight or flight, increased heart rate, tachycardia. Respiratory rate, this. Okay, so one of those things is your GI system shuts down during fight or flight. Why? Because during fight or flight, everything that is not necessary to get away from a saber-toothed tiger shuts down. Because it's not important, right? Like if I'm going to be somebody's snack, it doesn't matter whether I'm digesting my own snack. I don't need to be worried about urinating right now. There's a lot of things I don't need to be worried about if my life is in danger. And remember, anytime that you are stressed, that is how your being interprets it. It interprets it as you're in danger and it's going to react in only one way. So that's why we have so much more of these GI issues nowadays, is because so many of us, due to the lifestyle that society and we have all co-created, we're a lot more stressed, you know what I mean? And so that's why we're having a lot of these GI issues. So another reason to do that, another reason, because I'm also a big, I like to advocate for mindful eating. There's some amazing books on that. And when you look at that, same thing, there's a science to prove it. What happens when I'm present and mindful with my food versus when I have the TV on, versus while I'm scrolling through, versus I'm driving and I'm eating, right? So keeping all these things in mind, because sometimes I feel that it can feel overwhelming. Like there's so much to fix. There's nothing to fix, dude. There's plenty of healing that can be done, but like at the end of the day, there's really nothing innately broken. There's experiences cause ripples. Sometimes the ripples stick onto me as wounds. And then if I choose to, then I can find a way to work with them and to heal them. But yeah, most of the time, it is just this constant life happens and how do I respond? And so that's why I like to encourage people, again, try different instructors, try different modalities. I also do pre-COVID holistic wellness events here in El Paso. Why? Because there's so many people that do so many amazing things, and it would be really silly of me to think that I can do everything everybody else is doing at that same level. So no, so I look for people that I feel, in my opinion, are awesome at what they do, and I help organize them for the community. Because if you have a bunch of different tools to choose from, right? It's like anything else. Like if you're an artist, sure, you can make some good work with a certain amount, a little bit of paints, right, and a little bit of brushes. But what if you had this whole kit of amazingness to work with? Then you could do so much more. So for sure, explore different things. Even things that aren't, what is self-care? If we go to self-care beyond yoga, what is self-care? Self-care is being so present with yourself that you're aware of how these things affect you, and you begin to choose the things that make you feel much more awesome than crappy. Like that self-care. Like if you're like, I love flowers. Like, do you have a garden? Maybe just even a little plant, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to be anything elaborate, but what is it that makes me feel joy? I love vibrant colors. Like, are your walls white at your house? Because like, for example, I have a friend, she's from Guyana, South American girl all the way. Her colors, her walls are bright, super bright. Her whole house is bright. Like, that's her. Like, I cannot envision her living in a house with white walls. It's very right, but it's very possible that, I don't know, somewhere along the way we forgot our child, like that poor little one got lost somewhere, and it's like things are sterile and things are like this and and there's order and there's linear and there's no, man, what if that's another part of the work, by the way? Dude, what if you just try to be more childlike? I can tell you, for me, ask people that knew me even just 5 years ago, this would not be appearing here, especially being like funny or silly. Like I could have done the presentation. I've done training at a high caliber in my previous career for years. Not a problem. Fill the room. NC State, university people there, not a problem. But dude, it would have been delivered so differently. Like there would have been nothing funny. Like I would have been like all hypercritical of myself. So it's like, it's taken a lot of work to be able to be up here and like claim any of that. But what does that do for me? It gives me a lot of freedom. And I think that's what we're all looking for. And in particular, now that we're mostly stuck at home, we're feeling it, dude. You're feeling like that cage animal. Like, I am not supposed to be in four walls. I am not supposed to this, and I am not right. And so hopefully this time with ourselves has given us, if nothing else, a time to get a little clarity as to what's working for me and what isn't. And if we are feeling the constriction of being at home, then maybe that this is what it's for. Maybe it's a little nudge for, hey, Karessa, hey, Claudia, like, maybe it's time to try something new because this isn't really working right now.
Now that you're mentioning about like feeling enclosed, how I'm feeling is kind of different because I've been away from home so many years, studying, working, living in other places. And I don't know, I'm enjoying so much waking up and working with my dogs. And I know it sounds so cliche, but I do. And I'm planting stuff and I'm growing seeds and I'm going out to nature more than I used to. And so I'm doing all these things that I had on the back of my head, but never had time to because I was busy. So I think it's a good opportunity for us right now to connect with ourselves, not to feel like we're on a cage or enclosed. And if we're feeling imprisoned, then that's telling you something about yourself because you're at home, you're safe. So
That's a beautiful point that you make. Our home, I feel, should be our sanctuary. Have we taken the steps to ensure that that's the case? And then not feeling like a sanctuary, just like you said, like what is that telling us? I feel very similar to you. I've really enjoyed this time. It's come with its challenges for sure, Anna as well. But yeah, it's given us a different opportunity. And so many times we always have the opportunity of perspective, to choose perspective. First, to remember that there is a opportunity for perspective, because sometimes if we're if we're used to doing this, we can forget, right? I've been there. You forget there's options. You forget there's different perspectives that you can take. But yeah, if we're willing to take a step back and say, what is a silver lining in this? I'm sure that every single one of us could find it. And perhaps for some people, you know, like for you, your silver lining is like, I'm home. I'm finally home. I am so excited. You know, my family, my garden, right? You found that. You found your bliss. What's working for you? For people that haven't had that experience. And it's never too late to start.
Yeah.
It's never too late to start. And sometimes, you know, I know for me, I was so locked into this funky adult situation for so long. If you would ask me what I would want or what I liked, I didn't know. I would tell you whatever you wanted is fine. And I still definitely do that from time to time. But you know what I mean? It's like, at least now, if I really think about it, what kind of house do I want to live in? Now I can tell you, but that took work. You know, there's so many different areas that we can focus on. I always tell people, don't do your best not to let yourself be overwhelmed if you do decide to, like, I'm going to change my life, right? Because we want the transformation now. Like, it's a process. The realization I had, which was at 37, was, oh snap, I was in my room and it just came in. I was like, I'm going to have to undo 37 years worth of stuff. You know what I mean? Like, that's what this is about. This is about undoing. Oh, so then that gave me perspective. Like, this is what we talk about. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Well, that gives perspective. Like, for how many years did I create? And that's what I'm going to have to uncreate the person, the human that I created. And that's not coming from a place of self-rejection or feeling shame or guilt about the life that I had lived previous. It's just from that honest perspective of, hey, this is what we've done. This is where it's gotten us. This is where we're at. And this is not where we want to be. So what are we going to do? It's like, snap. Honestly, the best that I could come up with was do the opposite of what you've done, Karessa. For real, dude. So I listed it in my head. Like, what would like my mom say about me, my brother say about me, my ex-partner, like, hypercritical, judgmental, perfectionist, lives in a box, like, doesn't have. So I was like, well, I'm gonna do the opposite of all of that. Like, that's how it started. So you get creative. That's gonna be my final takeaway before we do this breath work. Get creative, dude. Just get so creative with whatever your healing and your awesome life looks like. If it makes no sense to anyone, but doesn't hurt you, doesn't hurt anyone else, and makes you feel awesome, rock it out.
So let me add a little bit to your story. I studied architecture and practice, as I said, like 10 years. Worked with a lot of people in a lot of places, different cities. And right now where I'm working is, I guess it's the least paid job that I've ever had. I'm doing something completely different, which is community planning and environmental planning in some sort of way. And I've never been this happy in my life at a job. So I can tell you, just because you did something for so long that I'm still passionate about architecture and I still can do it. That doesn't mean I have to stay in that line or in that path. I mean, there's so many different things that whenever you change, they change with you. So thank you for bringing that up, because it's something that I have conversations with people like, oh, but you've been an architect for so long. Oh, but you've been doing this. So I'm still doing what I think it's best for me and for the collective.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And it has brought a lot of peace to my life too.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that up, because I think that for many of us, we have had previous careers, and then all of a sudden, that's not working anymore. However that manifests for any of us, it manifests in so many ways, but then it's not working anymore, and then all of a sudden we start figuring out what resonates for us, what lights up our life, what we're so freaking passionate about. Even if we were, like, I was passionate about my previous career too, as you are about architecture, but it's a different, dude. It's such a different. And it's like, yeah, I don't make that much money nowadays either, but like, it's like, it doesn't really matter.
No.
Very different perspective on what's important. I think that's also the opportunity we're having with COVID right now. I think what is really important for me, like, you know, was it the Starbucks that I got every morning that important? You know, like, whatever it is, those networking things with some of them are, they're super important. But you know what I mean? Sometimes we put a certain amount of priority on things that maybe if they went further down and other things came further up, my quality of life really magnifies out. So, if you are listening to us talk about, the things that we love, or the things that we've changed or whatever, one thing that I've seen, like a question that gets posed at different like conferences or whatever, is the speaker will be like, they'll ask somebody, so I'll ask Claudia because I'm more comfortable with you because I know you outside of here. So like, Claudia, what's something that you love to do that just brings you so much joy?
Lots of things, man.
Like outside of your taking care of your kids and outside of taking care of your family, like, that you love to do for you.
Actually, cooking is my ultimate. I'm in heaven. Everything I'm cooking for whoever I'm cooking for, however many people I'm cooking I actually do for me. I love cooking.
Oh, do you? See? So Claudia would be one of the people who every speaker would wish, like, let's not have her answer because she totally didn't answer it the way that works for me. So, yeah, Claudia, that's because you're already living your best life, girl. So usually, right, somebody will say like, oh, I love going camping. So I'm gonna do the usual. I love going camping, right? I love going camping. What do you love about it? And they can tell you the smell of the woods, and I prefer to be by a stream, and like they can paint you the whole scenario. And then you'll ask them, when's the last time you went camping? And it'll be, it won't have been this week, it wouldn't have been this month, you know what I mean? And a lot of times it's like that. What did we used to like to do when we were younger? Like I used to love to paint, I used to love to write, I used to love to whatever. I used to love to climb trees. When's the last time you climbed a tree? Because undoubtedly that which brought you so much joy when you were younger and in such a more pure state, right? We weren't all put in boxes and stuff. That's you, yo.
Yeah. So
also, that's another way. I always like to find ways, like, what are these little fun magic ways for me to do this thing? That's one. Like, if you're like, well, snap, how do I become more carefree? Or I don't even know what I like. What did you like to do when you were little that maybe got you in trouble? I mean, that's you if you start writing on the wall with crayons and your partner gets upset, but what did you like to do? That might be a fun, simple way to start. Like, I used to like going to try to catch tadpoles. Go try to catch some tadpoles, man. What if it gives you just as much joy? It probably will.
Yeah. Making mud pies with my daughter. I love it that she loves being dressed up, but she's exactly like me. She likes dressing up, but she loves like mud pies. And the other day it was raining and she's like, Mom, take me outside. It's raining. And it's like 10:30 at night. So we both run outside and we're just like,
yes,
it's raining. It was awesome. So yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Travel right now I have cabin fever because traveling is our other joy for the three of us, and we love traveling. So I'm trying to do all these other things to take my mind off of that too, because that's super important. Even traveling little road trips, here and there. So that's one big thing that I do miss.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do you guys want to do one final little breathing technique for about a minute or so? Let's do it. So everybody feel yourself right now. Like I feel pretty jazzed. I feel like everybody feeling pretty jazzed, like pretty alert, like woo. So notice how you're feeling. So we're going to switch it up. So again, that sort of straight kind of back. Focus on the heart, that gentle lift in the heart that really makes a difference. Takes that curve out of your upper back. And then as you close into your eyes, go ahead and engage one more time that diaphragmatic breath. So you're breathing in and out through your nose. And every inhale begins in the low belly, the ribs, chest. Then you exhale, chest, ribs, belly. Now, you're going to keep breathing through the nose and you're going to keep breathing in this way. But you're going to tighten your throat a little bit, just like when you go to fog up a mirror. And if you need to remind yourself what that feels like, you can do it through your mouth a couple times, like to feel that tension in the throat. But if you don't need to do that, then just bring the tension in the throat, breathing in and out through the nose. I'm going to do it with you for a few moments. you're going to hear an ocean type sound to the breath. So I invite you to breathe loud enough to be able to hear your own beautiful breath, and I'm going to see if you can hear me breathe. So continuing with your own breath, your face is relaxed, your jaw is soft, the tongue is resting gently in the mouth. You can feel the shoulder blades sliding down the back body. Allow yourself to follow the wave of that breath. So notice how you're able to make this physical wave that first arises in the belly on the inhale, going all the way up. And then that wave reverses from the chest down to the belly. So bringing your awareness to that physical sensation, notice what happens. Perhaps feeling the body a bit more soft and relaxed. Perhaps it brings a soothing or comforting type sensation to your being. Allow yourself to ride this beautiful wave. And now, as you keep part of your attention there on that physical wave, bring the other part strongly into the sound. If the beach is a pleasant experience for you, perhaps it sounds like the ocean waves. Allow it to help recreate that beach experience for you. If you are not particularly fond of the beach, perhaps your breath is more comforting to think of it as white noise, like the apps that we sometimes play to help us fall asleep. Allow your attention to stay anchored on the physical and the auditory experience that you are creating. Remembering that this particular breath is one of the strongest rest and digest activators that we have. Open yourself up to its magic as it sends overriding signals to all aspects of your being that you are okay and there is no threat. You can use this technique anytime you begin to feel a little unsettled or frustrated. Perhaps if you're running late, if traffic is a bit much, anything that begins to move you off your center. In most circumstances, this breath would be available to you. With every inhale, you feel your expansion, inviting life and vitality to enter you. And with every exhale, you simply release, allowing tensions and worries to melt out through the bottom of your feet. Allow them to return to Mother Earth. And now bringing your awareness to your heart. Notice as you sit here with that heart gently lifted. You notice that your heart is exposed and vulnerable. This is the way of a spiritual warrior. We understand that in order for us to heal and in order for us to traverse this world freely, we will need to have open and vulnerable hearts. I have no doubt that if you so choose, you can walk upon life with this blazing heart, with this brave and courageous heart. May it guide us each wisely on our path for our best and highest good. Now I invite you to take a slow, deep inhale in through the nose. And the vocal breath out as you gently open the eyes. Thank you, ladies, so much for having me this evening.
I feel amazing.
Thank you.
I went floating.
Hey, you can float with us every Tuesday and Saturday morning. Still doing
There you go.
classes on Zoom.
Let us know.
Where do you teach classes?
Right now I'm doing them through Zoom. Scheduled, I have a Tuesday and a Saturday morning. Go to the Ever Balancing page. I have it as events there. The Zoom link is there. It's donation based, but if someone is not in a position to donate, it's not a problem at all. That's also in there. And it's in conjunction with Freedom Crossing. Freedom Crossing is where I usually teach both of these classes prior to COVID. I have intentions of starting them back up whenever they greenlight me in the future. But yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm planning to join some of those classes.
Awesome. We'd
Me
love to
too.
see you guys
I'm
there.
happy to have you here. Thank you for your time. We honor your time and this breath work we did with you. And I hope a lot of people see what you're doing and what we're doing as well together. And thank you. I don't know if anyone wants to say anything else.
Yes, thank you so much for being with us. And yeah, that definitely, it was a very bad day for me today. So this actually helped a lot.
Yeah, your eyes are looking real nice right now. Awesome.
Thank you so much. We really, really appreciate it. And maybe we can have you again.
Yeah, you guys let me know. I'm always game.
Things and
Let's
we'd
stay
love to have you. So thank you, Claudia, for
I
saying
Yes, thank you,
didn't do
Claudia.
anything.
The connection is important.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys. Have a
Thank you, Karessa.
good